Hello everyone, welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chella Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review and it's based off my interests. Last week we talked about the signing of the budget and it being entered into the Gazette, the CBI selling and trading governmental and private securities, the CBI banking workshops, and the presence of active businesswomen in the private sector, and the near resuming oil exports. Make sure you're subscribed and turn those notification bells on so when I'm live or when I have an early release show, you're in the know. Also, tap those like buttons if you don't mind, so that way people like yourself can find us. Now, let's take a look at this week's headlines. Economy News Baghdad reports the head of investment authorities discussed the Saudi Minister of Investment, Khaled Al-Faleh, the mechanisms of joint cooperations to finance the Barzmaya residential project. The investment authority says in a statement that the implementation of directives of the Prime Minister, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, and in order to complement the procedures of the National Investment Commission in the path of financing the Barzmaya residential project. The chairman of authority, Haider Makea, discussed the mechanisms of joint cooperation with the Saudi Minister of Investment, Khaled Al-Faleh, to finance the Barzmaya project. Makea stressed during the meeting, according to the statement, the need for bridge investment relations with the Saudi Arabias, especially with the Minister of Investment and the Saudi Investment Fund, as it is one of the major funds in the world to determine financial paths for major strategic projects of the service nature for citizens, noting that the importance of completing residential units and infrastructure within the Barzmaya complex and initiating the best services to the residents. The priorities set by the program for the Iraqi government are to address the housing crisis and establish major cities throughout the governorates of Iraq. For his part, Al-Faleh expressed his readiness to cooperate with the National Investment Commissions in completing the success story in the Barzmaya complex, which is one of the important investments signed in Baghdad after the financial model, whose studies to complete the entire project or other residential complexes or new cities in Iraq. And the advisor of Prime Minister for Financial Affairs, Mauser Mohammed Shalay, confirmed the strength of the quantitative and price monetary policy tool in managing the public liquidity, while identifying the factors for stabilizing the purchasing power of the Iraqi dinar. Shalay says in a statement and reported by the Insider that some are betting on the impossibilities of controlling the levels of local liquidity generated by the government spending, especially in the Federal General Budget 2023, which is based on the methods of financing the budget in Iraqi dinars in exchange for oil revenues in foreign currency mostly, as oil revenues constitutes the reserve of the Central Bank of Iraq, which helps to intervene in monetary markets to stabilize local liquidity levels and control them when they rise through the ability to meet the growing demands for foreign exchange. He added that the bet is losing on the inability to intervene and control the levels of liquidity in dinar, which will rise, and the rise in the government expenditures due to the conditions of compliance platforms and the fear of them in meeting the demand for foreign exchange. Monetary policy and the strength of foreign reserves, which are the highest in the country's financial history, are the only ones that process the price tools, and the difference quantity effects that the level of liquidity that the government spending mostly generates. Shalay says there is a strong coordination and integration between monetary policy and the joints of economic policy and financial policy, and its effects drawing the rule of price stability factors and building an efficient commodity supply in order to achieve the goal of the central bank in stabilizing the purchasing power of the Iraqi dinar, based on the goals of Decree Law Number 56 of 2004. Iraq ranked 4th among the Arab countries in terms of industrial output. According to the latest data of the World Bank, Iraq came 4th in industrial output after Egypt, which ranked 3rd in the Arab world and 30th in the world, with a value of $124.4 billion. Iraq was followed by Qatar, according to 2021 statistics. As for the industrial output in the Arab countries in 2021, Saudi Arabia ranked 1st in the list of Arab countries and 13th in the world in terms of industrial productions, with a value of $379.4 billion, followed by the UAE, 2nd in the Arab world and 17th in the world with industrial productions valuing of $197.1 billion. According to the World Bank data, the global industrial output increased by about 19.3% in 2021 to reach about 26.6 trillion, which represents about 28% of the global GDP, compared to global industrial output levels of about 22.3 trillion recorded in 2020, which is the levels to decrease industrial outputs as a result of repercussions resulting from the corona pandemic, and with the contributions of high-income countries to industrial outputs estimated at 51.5% in 2021, equivalent to about 13%. And I really like this next article. The Central Bank of Iraq aims through integration of exchange companies under categories A and B, I've talked about this in one of my lives, in strengthening the supervisory role, as the importance of integration highlights the repercussions of presence of long numbers of the banking companies in the unregulated economic sector. The importance of integrating companies to reduce their preparations on one hand and to raise the level of their organization on another hand. Integration is one of the most important steps that can be taken to strengthening control over the exchange companies and improve their financial performance, which helps them overcome the difficulties and problems that they suffer from. From the above, companies must be classified for the purpose of indicating the efficiency of the companies in all its regulatory departments and the extent of its commitment in granting its advantages from the rest of the companies. There is an example of these advantages of the central bank and what they're supposed to give to companies that are committed to the banking standards. 1. Promotions of transactions submitted by the company in record time compared to the remaining companies. 2. Increase the weekly auction shares. 3. Directing letters of thanks and appreciation to companies. 4. Companies contracts with external exchange companies and grant them parts of citizens for foreign remittance. And just like any other country, Iraq has its ups and downs. While everyone was paying attention to the budget, Shafaq News reports the US dollar exchange rate against the Iraqi dinar experienced a decline on Tuesday and on the Central Stock Exchange in Baghdad and in Erbil. According to the report from Shafaq News Agency, Baghdad's Central Al-Khaifa and Al-Herthia Stock Exchange recorded an exchange rate of 147,300 Iraqi dinars against 100 US dollar that morning. This is a decrease compared to Monday morning, when the prices were record at 147,800 dinars. In the local markets of Baghdad, the price in exchange shops also declined. The selling price reached 148,500 dinars, while the purchasing price stood at 146,500 dinars for every $100. Similarly, in Erbil, the Kurdistan region capital, the dollar selling price decreased to 147,350 dinars, while the purchase price of 147,250 dinars for every $100. And according to the Iraqi Day on Twitter, the Sadr supporters are trying to storm the Swedish Embassy in Baghdad after allowing the Quran to be burned. If here in the Newsroom family around the world could say a prayer for the safety, peace, and independence that shows our unity from our station of kindness. Here in the United States, we're celebrating our Independence Day on the 4th of July. Our prayers are with Iraq. Well, it's official. The Iraqi fact sheet of the Ministry of Justice published on Monday, law number 13 of 2023, the federal general budget of the Republic of Iraq for the next 3 fiscal years. The Ministry of Justice media said in a statement that the new issue of the Iraqi fact sheet number 4726 has been issued, and it includes the general budget law of Iraq for the years 2023, 2024, and 2025. And you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith, your Middle East U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics Iraq. I bring you the latest dinar news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, you can give me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always seed a super chat or super thanks in the comment section below. The 4th of July is right around the corner, also known here in the United States as Independence Day, the birth of America, celebrating the Declaration of Independence. Where will you be at celebrating, and where are you going to be from? Are you going to be traveling this weekend? I'd love to hear all about it. I'm definitely going to be watching some fireworks, spending time with family. I'll also be celebrating my birthday. Tuesday evening going into Wednesday is going to be very exciting around here, and it always is around this time of year. I hope you guys have a safe and blessed weekend. Again, thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted dinar news. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.